wants to do. Might as well do this Chiefs guy now.
Recording in progress.
What happened to my Chiefs logo? Why is that the only single logo? It's right there. Well, I'm recording, so that's something. My internet's all 4 green bars now. It was one single red one before at like 200 kilobytes a second. So it's definitely a little better start.
Stream looks good.
Okay, quality wise.
Yeah.
All right.
And we got some good ass bots in here. We got 00 Emily, a lonely girl, Donk 7.
A lot of bots in there quick, huh? Damn. I don't know how to like get a mod or anything. I guess we're active, so should we say something now, or we'll give it a minute. We'll just let it sit for a second. Make sure that speeds stay up and
post it again.
speeds are staying a good chunk. I'm steady 60. My CPU's doing barely anything. I have 0 drop frames. Before I was having like 600, a couple thousand drop frames. So like, it's definitely looking better than it was, but let me start playing a video. Everything's steady. If anything, it increased speeds. So,
just been in and out.
Yeah, I think it was just fucking with me. They just picked a great time to do so. I honestly didn't expect the Chiefs to go first. I really didn't. I didn't think. I don't know.
Nah, me either.
Alright. Goddamn. Let me get the Discord open, get the lights on.
We'll post your link again.
You will or you need me to?
I got it.
Okay. I think Hoochie thought I was genuinely offended by that. With the whole collusion thing. Alright, back now. Back on needing you to call out. We have a few viewers if they're not chatting, I guess. Fuck, alright. Well, that kicked us back a bit, but hey. Kind of lose some nerves on that one. Can't get much worse than that, you know? Oh, yeah. Let me... Dumb question. It is an E, right? Jeez, that's a weird looking F. It's almost worse. Whatever.
I mean, after that kind of trial and error, it's impossible to get worse. So
that's what I'm saying. Like, it kind of kicked out some of the nerves on that one. It's like, man, all right, well.
All right, so
we have people.
Yeah, Chiefs were the first pick. I think when we left off, as I was just talking about, Pat Mahomes, obviously. Chris Jones is a force, especially with the nerf to the lighter DNs and everybody. And then Travis Kelce, he's got red zone threat, I'm pretty sure. So, Beastie's going to be doing whatever he can to make that motherfucker score touchdowns. So what we can do now is the pick is already in for the second guy. So what we'll do is
we'll just let people trickle in, and then we're good to go.
I'll DM that to you. We can kind of go over that, and then the rest of it we can kind of just go as planned.
Okay. Are we good to continue?
Double check to make sure.
I just don't know if any people are actually in here.
There's 12. It's good enough.
Okay, that's fine. Alrighty. So.
All right.
Yeah, we should be good to go. Alrighty, and with that, the second pick is officially in. And with that.
Trade alert.
When picking a commerce platform.
Oh, it is a trade? Oh, you didn't say that in the freaking chat. Well, trade alert. We have a trade for the number 2 pick. I don't know who traded with who.
Riggs traded with number 7, Mr. Ohio. So the
Mr.
details of this trade are Riggs traded down to 7, Ohio traded up to 2, and they swapped. Riggs gave up a 5th-round pick, and Ohio gave up a 7th-round pick for this. So Riggs wanted to move down. Clearly, he has an idea of somebody that he wants to grab, and Ohio wants to get a good team so he's not left playing with some shitters. And so you can go ahead and let us know who he took.
Okay, with the 2nd pick in the season 13 VFL draft, Ohio has selected the Philadelphia Eagles. And with that pick, I was expecting this. If I had to take a bet, I was thinking the Eagles might go first overall. I did. Someone was talking about the Hurts throwing power might be a little abysmal, but I think they got a lot of great skill weapons. That D line is a beast. The receivers are great. O line is incredible. With Swift in the backfield, I think they're going to be a great pick. I'm excited to see. I was hoping I was somehow maybe going to end up on the team, but it is what it is. So what are your thoughts on that pick there?
I mean, Ohio, he's playing with Blunky. They went out there and they got a team that's probably either them or the Cowboys are the best team in the transit. So you can go ahead and set the timer.
All right. Sorry about that, guys. This whole thing has kind of gotten a little messy, but it's all about the learning curve.
I mean, this has to be either the Cowboys or the Niners, right?
I'm thinking. I think it's got to be the Cowboys. I think they're probably the best available team all around, given some of the quarterback concerns with the 49ers. I mean, they certainly got some absurd receivers, and again, good D line, good defense. But I think the Cowboys are probably the best well-rounded team still on that board.
Yeah, I mean, the DBs on the Cowboys are incredible. D line is out of this world. Their offensive line's top notch as well. Dak, he's 91 overall in this game. I don't know how well that translates to his throw power. He's a little bit mobile, so they can get it done there. Tony Pollard's sneaky fast, 93 speed. And Ace is, he's gonna have a field day with this team. I think that if I were the first overall pick, I might have went with the Cowboys, just based off of the well-roundedness of the team. It doesn't really leave you pigeonholed anywhere, having to draft like all-star QBs or anything, especially with they're gonna have the 6th pick in the player draft. So it's like you can get a bad player, throw him on the Cowboys, and he'll be a good player, right? So some people that he's gonna target. It's tough. I mean, he's going to go for Crow for sure, just because that's Ace. And then after that, I mean, he doesn't have his guys like Smooth's not in the league anymore. People, I don't think that we had Kwame sign up either.
Birds.
So it's going to be interesting to see where he decides to, kind of build his team. But he always ends up in the playoffs and he always does really well. So I'm excited to see, what he can kind of do with these Cowboys.
He's certainly one of these owners that we're really kind of keeping our eye on, watching, and kind of the prototype of an owner, if you will. Really, a lot of good things to look up to with that one. So I don't know if we have an official pick yet. Doesn't look like it. We're still waiting with 3 minutes on the clock. So maybe we'll have another last second trade. I don't know if we officially ended trades at around 7:15, right? I think so. I guess that might not be happening.
Trades are all set through. And so, yeah, it's just going to be pretty much, cut and dry draft here. We're just going to kind of go through what everybody's progressions are and figure it out that way. And I sent you a DM as well.
Yep. All right. And so, with that, my buzzer's not working. With that, we have the 3rd pick is in from Ace Boogs. And as we have predicted, they have selected the Cowboys at round 3. And like we said, I think that is a steal of a position to be picking the Cowboys. Very well-rounded. Yep. Very well-rounded. And the only thing that's knocking the Cowboys, to me, is I hate them. So I'm glad that I'm probably not going to end up on the Cowboys. And that's good for me. But that's strictly personal preference.
Yeah, I mean, the Cowboys are one of those teams that I also don't like. They can't beat good teams, but that doesn't translate to Madden. So, anything pertaining to the Cowboys as far as Madden goes. CD Lamb's a monster. They got Turpin, who's 95 speed, which everybody knows once you hit that 95
Yep.
threshold, that's when you start burning people. They just got a really well-rounded team. There's not a lot of weak spots. And I guess the only weak spot I would say, and it's not really a weak spot, is their safeties are a little bit slower. So when you move them down into linebacker, you're only going to have 87 speed, which 87 speed is still plenty fine to get it done with. But typically, you like to see them over that 90 threshold just to make sure that you can zoom around out there.
Yep.
But and their depth at safety is not a lot too. So if they do get fatigued from running into blockers and things of that nature, we could run into some issues where they just got a bunch of tired fuckers out there running around.
I'm really interested to see how that impacts really all these teams on this list. Like I don't even have an understanding of how much that fatigue's going to set in. I know.
Yeah,
I
who
mean,
knows?
you
I,
run
I
some
know
hurry up. I'm wondering if any teams are going to try taking advantage of hurry up offense to take advantage of smaller defense. I don't
and
know if it's going to break players, if it's going to, it's. I can understand they might want to level the playing field. I know sometimes some defensive ends can really bust through that line and really disrupt an entire game pretty quick. So definitely interested to see it. As a D lineman myself, I'm definitely curious to see how that's all going to work out in the long run and how much it's going to make me miserable.
yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where you're not going to want to play them no matter what, just because of how good the team is. Um,
Game breakers
I
on defense
game breakers. It's like
everywhere.
I know Madden said that they were working on fixing it because it was only supposed to be for DBs to stop the blitzing.
Gotcha.
So I think they might tweak it a little bit. So a week or two into the season, it'll probably go back to the way it was before. But until then, it could leave a few teams, with their hands on their knees, doubled over, getting ran all over, missing tackles, things of that nature if they're all red fatigue.
Absolutely. We got a question in chat about all GMs. Have all GMs been announced? Are there still openings available?
The only GM that has not been announced yet is for Beastie. So I can run
For
through the GMs real
Beastie.
quick. We have, let's see what we got here. For the GMs, we have Beastie is still vacant. Ace is with Mr. Unknown. Riggs is with Fig. Poochie's with Nate Cash Money. Highwalker is with Profam, Mr. Ohio, and Blunky. User ended up getting Ebok, which is a hell of a steal for GM because he's a great player. And he's going to run that team the right way. And then Beach Mode went with Death, who I'm not familiar with. I don't know if he's been in here the past few seasons, but Beach Mode,
It's one hell of
he's
an
always got the
omen, though, huh?
Vibia squad.
Yeah.
He's always got this Vibia squad, and honestly, vibes can directly translate into wins.
Absolutely. I mean, it
Um,
all comes down to who's willing to put in the most time and be the most active. And you get that by having a good group of people who actually enjoy playing together. We've been on both
yeah,
sides, both as teams that practice consistently and teams that get on once a week to get your pregame match in just to get it over with. So it's definitely had direct correlation with our results. Interesting to see the number one team on the draft board have no GM. So I wonder if having selected the Chiefs, haven't been first off the board, but now later in the player, I wonder how that's affecting that open position. I don't know how many people are going to want
well,
to jump in for that.
yeah, he has until the 13th to solidify it. When the player signups end is when he has to solidify it by then. If not, then he's gonna have to draft for the position, which nobody wants. I'm sure he'll fill the position by then. But maybe him picking the Chiefs leads him a direction with a certain player that he would rather go with, opposed to if he got a different team. So maybe he was just waiting for the dynamic to figure it all out. But I know that GMs, there's not a huge abundance of them out there, so he might find himself having to take maybe a player who's not quite as good, but he's more of a glue guy.
Absolutely. And with that sound, you hear the pick is in. And with round 4 of the team draft, Highwalker has selected the 49ers. Here we go. All right. Kind of what we would have expected in the top 4. I'd say no big. Maybe the order is a little shaken up, but I would definitely say this is kind of about where we expected them to land if I had to guess. Like we said, credible receivers, so a great D line. The real big question mark is, of course, Brock Purdy and what he can do. Not the best talent, but Madden often plays much differently than the NFL. So I'm curious to see what kind of stats that quarterback can put up this year. What are
Yeah,
your
I
thoughts?
mean, Purdy's really the only issue I have with the team. their line's not incredible all the way through, but obviously they're the best left tackle in the league. And Christian McCaffrey is going to, he's going to get out in open space and it's going to be tough tackling him. You got Kittle, you got
Yeah,
Debo. It's loaded with weapons, but Purdy's kind of got a noodle arm and he's not super mobile. So you're gonna have to play around that a little bit, and maybe dump it off short and just go for the run after catch and things of that nature. The defensive line is monstrous. I mean, those guys can tear through anybody. The linebackers, it's interesting to see if they'll use Greenlaw or Fred Warner or guys of that nature, just to kind of stop the run and eat up some of those blocks and switch them in with the safeties on rundowns just to try and prevent some of that fatigue we were talking about earlier.
right.
But overall, these are pretty much chalk for the top four teams. There was almost nobody was going to take anybody but these teams. It just depended what order it fell in.
Right. Do you knowing the quarterback perhaps weakness, we'll say, how do you think it's going to impact their player draft? Do you think they're going to pick quarterbacks later? Do you think they're going to get better quarterbacks who can utilize a worse quarterback better? How do you think they're going to play that
Uh,
out?
I think that it'll probably be pretty chalk for the player draft, where most people are going to select a quarterback in the first round, and then knowing they have the Niners, they might, which not a lot of people are going to go after. They might be targeting heavy running back D line, right?
Right.
So McCaffrey, and I know Highwalker and Rusty are going to have a good plan in place, but neither of them are true natural QBs, right? They're players that can play QB and will play QB. I assume one of them will this season, but they're going to want to load up that other player on their line. So I wouldn't be surprised if they went QB first round, then second pick they went with, just a monster at one of the other positions just to make sure that their line is solidified and then kind of move on from there.
Right. Alrighty. All right, so that leaves us with 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes with beach mode on the clock. Let me make that a little more obvious with this guy here. So now
Beach
this
is
is really when we start to see, maybe
a
not for
little bit
this
of a mix
pick,
up.
but we're going to start towards the end. I think we're going to see a lot of the big mix-ups. But who do you think
Yeah.
might be coming around here around 5? I know,
Um,
I mean, the Ravens are still on the board. The Dolphins are still on the board. That might be a little early.
yeah.
What are your
The Dolphins are
thoughts?
a weird team. Because I think it'll probably end up being the Ravens or the Bills. You want a mobile quarterback. You want a guy that can kind of
Bills.
get out in space and make stuff happen on his own. And Beach Mode's always been a guy that no matter what team he picks, he's going to slot it and he's going to change his play style to that team. He's not going to bring his, pick a team
Gotcha.
for his play style. He's going to pick the best available and then he's going to go from there based off the team that he has.
Make this readable. All right, so we got about a minute left, and it looks like the pick is in. And so, with the 5th pick in the team draft, Beach Mode has selected the Buffalo Bills. Pretty on the money with that pick.
Matt and Simon are mixing alcohol.
God dang it. Too many ads, man. And here we have the 49ers. So, or not the 49ers, I'm a freaking mess. We got the Bills. So, Buffalo Bills, obviously, like you said, you got Josh Allen, one heck of a quarterback. Can't run, throw, get hit a few times, and not fumble the ball like some Lawrences that we had some experience with. But, so what are your thoughts with this? I mean, 5th pick, that's a pretty good value. Like you said, it's definitely an understandable pick. I think there's only a few, maybe 1 or 2 teams you could really pick here and feel comfortable with the value.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, I
the
mean,
Bills are one of those
they're just kind of
teams
a
that
steady, solid team.
I could have seen them sliding further, and also I wouldn't have been surprised if they got taken higher. They're a volatile team.
Right.
Diggs, crazy good in this game. Their tight ends are fast as shit. They're just a good all around team. Their defense, good safety. Their corners are lacking. Their D line with Von Miller is good. So it's just one of those things where it's a good, well-rounded team. You're not going to walk into any game with these guys and think, "Oh fuck, we got to go play the Eagles." You got the Bills.
Right.
You're going to be fine. And
I think you'll feel
wouldn't.
comfortable playing anybody, but I don't know if you'll feel confident playing very many teams. I mean, it's kind of like we see in the NFL now. I mean, they're a bit. It kind of depends on the week, give or take. And I think we're probably going to see similar results from the in-game players themselves. I don't know if they
Yeah.
have quite the full depth to really stack each position, but like you said, they certainly have some good stars to heave the ball to. So
Yeah. It's a boomer bust team, and I wouldn't be surprised if they made a run in the playoffs either. It seems like they're hitting their stride right now, anyways. So who knows? Maybe they go on to win the Super Bowl, and then by the time we're in our Super Bowl, these guys are one of the more electric teams, right? Maybe they get that
yeah,
end of the season Super Bowl buff, and this is the best team in the game. So it's just one of those things where you really just got to see how playoffs and everything round out, and then this could be one of those sleeper teams to where they're already good and they could just get better.
so I'm gonna reset this. So that leaves us with about 3 minutes on the clock for round 6 with Hoochie on the clock. So now this is I'd have to almost assume that the Ravens are coming off the board now. I mean, they might
I
keep
mean,
slipping, but I don't know. I don't think I could put the
no,
Dolphins above them. I think
with
I think
Hoochie,
probably Ravens, Dolphins are probably the next two, and I think eight's probably the big toss up of who are they gonna grab.
yeah, I think the thing with Hoochie is he knows the ins and outs of Madden. Lamar fits that kind of player IQ because he can, get into all the nuances, all the QB runs, everything like that. He's going to be a guy that's really going to be able to abuse that. The defensive ends are nasty. They have really good D backs, and he always ends up coming away with a really good player. He's a good player himself. He's going to draft a good QB. He's got a top 3 pick there. So if you get another QB who understands the game the same way that he does, then they're going to have a really successful season. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw the Ravens in the Super Bowl.
Right. I think a big factor when it comes to drafting the Ravens is understanding ahead of time who your quarterback might be. Because I think you'll usually run into some players who really like those mobile quarterbacks, and some who might not lean quite as much on mobile quarterbacks. So I think that's a big factor, is who they pick and how much they're going to match up with that skill set. So we'll
Yeah.
see how that goes. And then
And
it
another
looks
thing
like
too,
here, I don't mean to interrupt, it looks like the next pick is officially in. We'll get back to what you're saying in just a moment. It looks like with the 6th pick in the season 13 draft, Hoochie has selected the Baltimore Ravens. Just like we said, we got Lamar making my life miserable. So I can't wait for that to come about. So back to
every D
your
lineman's
saying, not
nightmare.
to interrupt here. But what are
Yeah,
your? I
every
mean, we
D,
kind of projected it, but what are your? Anything else stand out about the pick?
uh, just you're gonna hate playing against him because not only do you have
Absolutely.
to watch for the pass, this guy knows a lot of routes, he knows how to break zones, he knows how to break man. But playing against Lamar, as far as the scrambling aspect goes into, that's another thing to watch for. And really, in my opinion, the toss up here is between the Ravens and probably the Dolphins, even though I'm not in love with them either. Um, I think this was the better pick of the two. The Dolphins receivers are the whole team's really fast, but
Right.
Tua just for some reason doesn't play very well. Maybe it's because he's left-handed and I'm autistic and can't figure that out. But
Maybe.
he just doesn't get the job done for me as well. So the Ravens were the right pick here. I don't love playing with the Ravens because I don't know the game as well as a lot of these guys do. So I can't, use the mobile quarterback to his full
Right.
abilities as
Right.
most people can.
Can't quite
But it
manipulate
was
the
definitely the
defense the
right pick
same.
here.
I think so. I mean, I think, like you said, I don't think there's anything wrong with picking the Dolphins here. I do think when you look at teams like the Dolphins, I think you're drafting the Dolphins for one or two players, and I think you are making the most you can out of the rest of them. I don't know if that's quite the case with the Ravens. I guess you could probably make the argument you're drafting them just for Lamar. But I mean, I don't know. I don't know their stats, but I mean, they had some good. They got some good young receivers. You got Zay out there. They obviously. I don't know the status of all of their running backs. What does the health of that team look like? I know they always have running back injuries.
Yeah, no, I believe Gus Edwards is good to go in this game, and he's sneaky good in this game too. I don't know if it's that Ravens O line because they're pretty solid as well that helps him get kind of out there, but he's got more speed in this game than you would think. And then as well as that, they
They
can
got the good
sub
tight end,
OBJ in.
obviously.
I'm pretty sure Mark Andrews has double me and red zone threat. So Lamar can't
That's
throw
about
far
right.
very well, but what he can do is when you're in the red zone, if you want to just lob it up to Mark Andrews, then or even if you roll out to the right, you're on the run, you make the guy commit to you, lob it or you highball it to Mark Andrews, you're going to get, that's a pretty seamless play there. So with somebody like, Hoochie, this was the best pick. And then Nate, I know he's going to go crazy with that defense. They got a lot of speed. They got a lot of really good DBs, and he's going to make other people's lives hell if he decides to be a DC, which I assume he will be as he has been in the past. And like I said, this is a team that's probably going to make a run to the Super Bowl unless they draft really poor. Oh, and Andrews is out, so that's
Oh
they
yeah.
got Isaiah Likely, he's quick, but he's got not a whole lot other than that.
So I mean, yeah, as we know, it kind of comes down to injuries a lot of times. A lot of times it comes down to late season updates that really gives you like the big playoff push, gives you that momentum running into it. I mean, I think most people would be pretty content with the Ravens, though. I definitely don't think there's any surprise. Um, I mean, there's a few. I think that as always, it keep going back. I think the Eagles and Cowboys might be kind of the top tier there, and the others might kind of fall a little underneath. But I mean, they certainly got a lot of talent, and it's definitely a unique play style. So I think whoever wants that, I think is ready for it.
Yeah, that's like another thing with the Ravens is when you go in to play the Ravens, you can't play the same way you've been playing every other
No,
team.
it's a
So they're
whole
going to
different
catch a lot
ball
of people
game.
off guard. They might get them out in the first quarter and just drop 14-21 on them in the first quarter before the defense learns to adjust. And at that point, the game's over, right?
The roster should reset before playoffs. That would be, I think, the ideal time to do it. I think that would not only be good for going in, I just think it'd be good entertainment for the playoffs to have a nice reset. Everyone's power rankings kind of shift a little, and I think it'll be nice to see a different breed of playoff football come updates. So we got about a minute left with Riggs on the clock, thanks to a trade with Mr. Ohio. Obviously,
No.
they take the trade, they drop down a bit. What do you think the mindset is here? They didn't go last pick, so they must not think he's going to make it to the last pick. So they might be trying to find someone who fell a bit. Do you think they're taking a big reach here? What are your thoughts? How aggressive do you think they're
Um,
about to be?
with Riggs, I would assume he has someone in mind that he wants. I don't think it'll be the Dolphins, but after that, who would it be? Maybe the Lions. It's really hard to tell. And
We played
so,
Jaguars once. He better not pick the Jaguars. That'll be a bonehead play. I guess there's only a few players. I mean, yeah, like the Lions. I mean, we've
I mean,
kind of we've kind of mentioned the Bucks before, but I mean, you got Baker back there, who I don't really know how accurate and serviceable he'll really be.
and another thing with Riggs is he gave up a fifth round pick for a seventh round pick to move down. So clearly, what he wants is a team he thinks is, not the best, obviously, but manageable. But he's gunning for one of those top three quarterbacks. He's got a
Right.
guy that he clearly wants. So, and he knows that he's to win in this league, you need to have a quarterback of that caliber. And he's got, I assume Fick will be playing quarterback for him as well. So that'll solidify two QBs, and then he can wait on his third line QB if he wants to. So I think he's trying to get those two QBs out of the way first, and then start padding those lines, and then just get a serviceable third line just to kind of make everything come together.
Right. Ignore the graphic in the corner. It looks like this pick might be coming in a little bit late, but given our stream issues, we won't be too upset about it. So, and with that, as I announce it, the pick has dropped, and my timer keeps breaking on me. And here we have something I might have teased a little bit early, but I certainly did not expect. With the seventh pick in the NFL draft, after a trade, Riggs has selected the Buccaneers. Baker Mayfield ready for action, ready for the comeback season. What do we think about this? I know we hinted it a little bit. It is not quite the eighth pick. I think there's a chance he probably could have stolen them at eighth, but we might be overvaluing the Dolphins and undervaluing the Bucks. I don't know. I know we had a good time playing with them. I mean, they got Mike Evans, who's a dog. He's red zone target galore. He's easy. I
Yeah.
know. I mean, Mayfield. I don't know how his stats. I believe he has a cannon for an arm. I don't know how he moves. I don't know his accuracy or throw on the run and how much he's affected by pressures. So I don't know how well that's gonna play out. But obviously a great D line, and with Mike Evans, I mean we've seen how much a red zone target can make or break a game. When you have someone you can just sky that ball up to and he can get up and just palm it, it's a nightmare for defenses in the red zone. It just is. So, what do you think? What do you think about taking them number 7 after the trade?
Well, my guess is he was trying to move probably as far down as he could have to get them, and I don't think User was budging. So he's probably got a player he wants more than a team. So
Gotcha.
he probably just did what he could, and then took a team that he had a lot of faith in. And with the fatigue issues, like Hoochie's saying, you have Also, you have Levante David, who's a really great linebacker with that because not only can he swap out with a safety, but also he has lurker, so he's going to get some animations that other linebackers wouldn't. Mike Evans is a deep ball threat. He's a monster. Then you have Godwin, who is another just a superstar receiver.
Great
He's got the
number
X
two.
factor.
Yeah.
So you got two X factor receivers. You got the left tackle is an X factor, and then their cornerbacks are a little weak. They're fast. Their safeties are fast. They got Antoine Winfield, who might get a superstar in the next update. And then when players come back, I believe they'll get Carlton Davis back, and then they'll get Ryan Jensen, their superstar center. So their corners will upgrade. Then they'll get another X factor center. Baker, I've played with him a few times. Great throwing motion. He's got a fucking cannon on him. He's just mobile enough to make it work.
Good.
And I don't know if they have this, but it seems like he has that fearless thing in this game because I mean I've thrown out of sacks for a dot. So he's got whatever the Madden gods did to him. they love him, and then also you can't really overlook their running back either. Rashad White, he's
Right.
quick.
He's
He hits
solid for
holes the
sure.
proper way. And in Madden, if your running back's fast enough, you can run a Texas, and if you can run a Texas, that's all you need him to do. Right?
Yep. A couple swings, a couple Texases, and you'll be good to go. Especially with the receivers getting most of the attention. And especially you get in the red zone, you get to the last couple lines, they're not going to know to defend the receiver, to defend the run, they're not going to know what to do. So it's certainly, I mean, a lot of people mentioned the fatigue. That's something I didn't even really consider. So it's certainly a good point, and a good showcase of some ownership, forward thinking right there with what just recently dropped and already ready to make some moves on it. So we officially have only one draft left, as I forgot to reset the timer. It should be coming in any time now, I'd imagine. We have user on the clock.
And another thing with the Bucks too is their defensive line. They got Vita Vea, who won't get fatigued because he's a fat bastard, and then they got Shaq Barrett, who has edge threat, which just got buffed. He'll be on the edge, and then also I don't know. You throw maybe Devin White on the other edge just for speed purposes, and then you have a pretty solid D line overall there. So they'll be wreaking havoc. I know D tackle penetration in this game is better than it ever has been. And when you get a fat guy like Vita there who's not going to get fatigued and he's an X factor, that's another really good pick.
Right. And I mean, just pairing it back to the Ravens, having the speed on each edge is really going to come in handy with locking down some of the more mobile quarterbacks. I mean, you got Lamar, Hurts, even Mahomes can move a little bit. So having speed on the outsides definitely helps to lock those offenses up. So obviously we're heading into the last pick here. Who do you think? I mean, the big one that still jumps out, as we've talked about several times, is the Dolphins. That doesn't mean they're gonna get picked. I mean, they slid a little further than I would have thought. So, who else do you think might be a late steal here? If you have a certain player in mind, maybe they have some preferences we don't know about, certain players they're gunning for.
I mean, the dark horse here would be the Packers. Jordan Love has one of the best throwing animations in the game. He's really good. Their offensive line is fine. Their running backs are fine. Their defense is fine. I mean, they're fine all around. But I think just Jordan Love being as prolific as he is, even though his stats aren't that good, I think that could lead to a selection of the Packers. I mean, we talked about the Jaguars a little bit. They've got a few X Factor players out there that can make a difference. Trevor Lawrence, ETN's, he runs the ball really well. They got some defensive guys in the update about a month or two ago where they got some superstar abilities. They got some, upgrades as well. The Seahawks, I mean, if they want to just fucking Broadway Geno and just bomb it up to DK, they have a really fast defense with their corners. Their defensive line kind of fucking stinks. But other than that, I could see maybe, I don't know, the CJ Stroud led Texans are a team that you might pick. This is really just that jump ball pick because if they don't want the Dolphins, then it's really going to be interesting to see kind of what they get here. I mean, the Saints they're a fine team. They've got a lot of weapons, but they don't usually get picked.
Have the Texans got their injured players back, or how are they looking?
No,
I didn't
no.
think
So
because I can't
injured
imagine
players
anyone
back.
would be picking them with their main guys without any of their receivers. I mean, Collins is still back, but I mean Tank's out, so that kind of hurts him a bit. But
Yeah.
I don't got about 2 minutes left as they're waiting on user here. So
The
I mean,
Falcons have
there's a
few
chance
sneaky.
maybe he was hoping for the Bucks. Maybe he thought the Bucks would fall. Maybe this kind of threw a whole wrench in his whole plan. You know?
Mhm. It's always possible. I mean, other than that, though, there's not a lot of teams left on the board. And like the Falcons are one of those weird teams where they've got a lot of X factor players in weird spots. Like
Yeah.
Kyle Pitts, good jump ball guy. They've got two dynamic running backs. They've got a few good receivers. It's just one of those things where their defense, when healthy, is really good as well.
Yeah, the
They
defense
have
is
really good
solid.
DBs, but it's impossible to kind of predict this pick.
Yeah, I think it might be a little tough to pick the Falcons now, but I mean, who knows? I know the Packers we kind of talked about, and I think that would be an interesting pick here to if they were going to reach a little bit for someone that might be the team to reach for. But I mean, I know a few people are kind of hoping Rodgers might be coming back into the lineup, and we were expecting to see them maybe sky up the board a bit, but as that hasn't happened, I don't know.
Won't be
I
seeing the
guess
Jets
we'll,
likely. I mean, Ebach's also the GM, so I know he's probably just waiting until the last second because that's the way he is. But I would assume that he's going through it and really kind of trying to figure out who he wants. I don't know if he's used the Dolphins before, but if he has, then he probably doesn't want to use them again. So
that's a good thing to
regardless, you
consider,
can
right?
assure that Ebach he's a nerd with this game. He knows all the ins and outs, so he's going to pick the team that's going to be the absolute best for them.
Yeah, I mean, he has the time, might as well use it. Maybe he's already, in contact with one of his players to see, what their last second thoughts are, make sure they're on board with the pick. Um, huh. Yeah, I think we got a couple. I mean, we got the Lions, Packers, Dolphins. We got a couple people up there, so we'll see. I don't know. So, yeah, I didn't know what the pickleball was about, and it looks like the pick is in now. And so, with that, with the very last pick in the VFL Season 13 team draft, user has selected. I don't even know if I have a video ready for him. The Jacksonville Jaguars. One team that I honestly did not really expect to go in this draft. That might be partially because of our own, performance history with the team. But I mean, like you said, they certainly got talent. They got some receivers out there. ETN is good. Lawrence, he should, but they have a team that certainly has play.
Kind of surmise all that for them, so that's why they went with them. I assume the defense, as we came to know, isn't terrible. They're a little bit slow on the perimeter. The receivers are all serviceable. None of them are great. None of them are bad. Right. So, and then ETN is a monster. You can shake and get loose with him.
I don't know how many abilities they've gotten lately. I know when we had them, I think that was a bit of an issue. Was some of the abilities seem to play a big factor in games like this. But certainly solid players. Definitely a solid team. I know they kind of underperformed late in the season, so I'm curious to see how that might potentially impact a future update. But I'm not by any means an expert when it comes to Madden updates with ratings, so I'll definitely be keeping an eye open for those ones.
Yeah, and I mean Josh Allen on the DN there, he got some abilities, so he's a great player to add to that D line because without him, that D line's not very good. So they'll be able to get some pressure with him. I'm sure that they'll be dialing up some crazy unique blitzes to try and get in there. And I mean, other than that, that kind of concludes the draft as far as this goes. Do you have any early predictions for teams that maybe you're interested in seeing, or teams that you think are going to finish at the top, or maybe ones that are going to finish at the bottom?
As I kind of mentioned earlier, I think as much as I hate to admit it, and I mean, they're playing good in real life. They're a good Madden team. They got a certain attitude about them right now. I think these Cowboys right now are going to be a tough team to beat, both with the owner paired with that team. I think they might be the team to beat this season. What do you think?
My pick's probably going to be. Ooh, it's tough. I don't want to go chalk and say Beastie with the Chiefs, so that's the only reason I'm not going to go there. I'm going to go with Hoochie with the Ravens.
I think he's going to
give defensive coordinators absolute hell with that team. He's going to be putting some fucking miles on Lamar's legs, and I think they're going to finish at the top. Now, as far as the bottom goes, that's tough too. I mean, it's really hard to say this.
I mean, if I'm just going to say whatever team drafts me, obviously we're fucking winning it all. But, I don't know which team's drafting me yet. So, just speaking strictly on teams, I'll go with the Cowboys. But it is interesting. Like you said, the Ravens. And as we kind of hinted earlier, it really comes down to how well you match them up with players. If the players who are playing fit that scheme well, they can light it up. But we've also played against some people who don't really understand the mobile quarterbacks. They'll run, throw an interception, run, throw an incompletion. So it's interesting to see. They probably have the highest upside, but it's good. You're definitely gonna have to manage the team well, both ownership, GM, practice. It's gonna be a big one.
Yeah, I mean, not to, I can't imagine I'm actually spoiling any draft stuff here, but I assume they take a top QB here and maybe in the wraparound,
Mhm.
they end up grabbing somebody like Warpath, who favorite teams, the Ravens, loves playing with the Ravens, and he's a serviceable quarterback. He's always been decent in the league. And I mean, he'd be a pig in shit to play there.
Yeah.
So, not, that's just my kind of early prediction as far as how the draft goes for them. But yeah, other than that, thanks guys for coming out. I know we had some issues with the stream a little bit earlier on, but we got the whole lineup here. We're going to be posting that in the Discord as well, and then also be on the lookout for the tier lists that are going to be coming in the days leading up to the draft as well.
Yeah, we should have some to start releasing tomorrow, so we'll drop in Discord ahead of time when they release. Another thing, when this Twitch is done, it's gonna start uploading to go onto the YouTube channel, so you can check that out after if you missed anything. I want to rewind and check anything out. But I think that about sums up this draft so far. I think
Yeah.
for the most part it was pretty steady. A couple surprises. I was a little surprised by the Chiefs and the Jags and the Bucks here, maybe the very top and bottom. But I think some of that's probably to do with how players managed players versus teams and how that impacted their decision. So
Yeah, so just some stuff to clean up. Player signups close on the 13th, and then the draft is going to be Monday at 6 p.m. just because we think it's going to be a little bit of a lengthier draft, 6 p.m. Eastern time. It's going to be lengthier. There's going to be a lot that goes into it, so we don't want to be up all night. So it'll be the same case with that, though. We're going to stream that, and then we're going to upload it to YouTube after. So if you miss the live stream, as long as you're not an owner or a GM, then you can just tell all the players, watch it on YouTube afterwards, and then everything that we do going forward, if it is live streamed, we're going to post to YouTube. But we plan on posting videos weekly. We're going to do a weekly rundown with just kind of going over everybody from last week, some predictions for next week, things of that nature. We're going to have articles churning out, and if you guys have any recommendations or anything like that, feel free to reach out. But other than that, we're looking forward to the season.
yeah, pretty much everything he said. We're hoping most of our content will be pre-recorded, aside from the drafts, just for the sake of making things a little cleaner and easier, as you saw with our internet issues here. But yeah, keep up with comments, keep up with feedback. Willing to kind of try anything out if people are interested in it. Like you said, weekly reports. Hoping to get like a game of the week every week, maybe a couple plays of the week every week. So if anyone's watching anyone else's stream and they see a crazy play, feel free to clip it, send it into the Discord. And I had someone DM me asking about submitting videos if they needed to be edited, unedited. Unedited is totally fine. I'll take care of it the best I can. If you do know any editing, obviously very much appreciated. Feel free to edit it however you'd like, send it in, and if we use it, I'll make sure to add you on the bottom and give you the credit you deserve for that. So, with that, I think we're ready to close out the draft, and we appreciate everyone for showing up, and we look forward to the player draft, and we hope you do too. All right. Good luck, everybody.
See ya.